Today on Desk Dispatch, a quick look at my new Love and Trip themed Traveler's Notebook cover and the tools and a tutorial that really helped me refine some of the on-the-go sketching that I've been wanting to do within this notebook. What I've currently got inked up in my pens, a few books that I've been reading and currently spinning. Hello friends, welcome back to Desk Dispatch, a place where I take a look at my curated analog tools, things that are coming across my desk, around my desk, both in terms of digital minimalism and analog lifestyle approaches and the tools that support those endeavors. We're going to jump over to the desk and take a closer look at this gorgeous Love and Trip cover for the Traveler's Notebook. And for those of you who've been watching me and this channel for some time, you know I'm a big fan of the Traveler's Notebook, and this year I've been really on a journey of trying to use my Traveler's Notebook for basically everything in my life. In particular, I was really interested in honing my on-the-go sketching and watercolor abilities. I've dabbled here and there with respect to sketching and watercolor paints, but I've always struggled to find my style and struggled to attain some of the skills that I know would really help in refining my urban sketching. I found an urban sketching course by Suma on Craftsy, who is the sponsor of today's video. Suma does such a brilliant job in her 2-hour course with respect to her style of approach on sketching on the go and using watercolor paints. I loved it because her style really resonated with what I was trying to capture with respect to capturing the feeling of a landscape or of a scene that I was looking at. And her techniques have really allowed me to start incorporating sketching on the go in my Traveler's Notebook, in this notebook here, and really refine the approach that I've been bringing to the table. Craftsy, by the way, is an online community for like-minded creative individuals who are sharing their talents. There's over 2,000 folks on this community who have put up courses that cover everything from sketching and watercolor paints like the one I was using by Suma, but knitting, gardening, fitness, journaling, there is a whole plethora of availability out there. Using the link in the description below, you can get access to Suma's content and other creatives on Craftsy for $1.49 for new members only. With that being said, let's jump over to the desk and take a look at this gorgeous new cover and the sketching that I've been doing here and some of the thoughts that have been percolating with respect to the Traveler's Notebook. I recognize I'm a little bit late to the Love and Trip Traveler's Notebook theme for the cover here. It was released earlier on in 2025, spring, and I wasn't sold on the idea of getting a new notebook cover at the time. But my friend Lara showed me hers and I could not get over just how gorgeous it looked. When I went to go pick up my own cover, of course it was sold out being a special edition, and then the Travelers Company announced that they were going to release a second batch towards the tail end of 2025, which I was able to pick up 2 or 3 weeks ago. That was one reason, the aesthetic overall. But the other reason is I wanted to perform the same experiment that I did with my olive Traveler's Notebook cover and see how the patina developed over time. As you can see here, the olive was green, and this is underneath where my superior layer clip resides. It's a nice green that has developed into a dark brown patina. I was disappointed with how much the patina shifted over to a dark brown colorway and completely lost the green. There are some theories out there about the Travelers Company using different suppliers for special editions versus their regular lineup. Some of the folks that I've been chatting with in the stationery circles have shown me their originally released olive colorway special edition from Travelers Company, and it's retained that beautiful green and developed a patina of a deeper green over time. Given the popularity of this particular colorway, Travelers Company incorporated the olive colorway into their regular lineup, and the theory is that that comes from a different leather supplier, and so the quality is different. None of this is substantiated, by the way. This is just what I've heard, so take it for what you will. But the idea here is to do a 6-month look at the patina being developed on the Love and Trip, and a 1-year look at the patina. I use my Traveler's Notebook heavily, so the patina is going to come in quite fast. At first glance, I love the red colorway. I thought it was going to be a lot lighter when it was first announced, but I'm very happy to have seen it on my friend's Traveler's Notebook and this one here. It's got a kind of a maroon burgundy look to it. It's a darker red, and I'm quite excited to see what that patina will look like. in 6 months and a year from now. In terms of how I've set up the Traveler's Notebook, just like my other Traveler's Notebook setup here, we redid the elastic along the spine of the Traveler's Notebook to incorporate more refills. By default, the Traveler's Company releases their Traveler's Notebook with just one elastic loop running through the spine, as opposed to the two here. The two gives you the flexibility of adding 4 refills if you wanted. But as I said, by default, you only typically just get the one loop with the option to put in 2 refills. So that's one thing I immediately did. I used a light brown because this particular red maroon elastic isn't actually available in the Traveler's Company elastic packs as of yet. So just picked the light brown, which I actually think complements it very well and is very subtle. In terms of how I got this set up, the Superior Labor 2-pen holder with the Kaweco brass support and the Pilot vanishing point, the page anchor, which comes from a company called Page Anchor, although there are alternatives out there if you are looking for a similar look and aesthetic. I'm no longer affiliated with Page Anchor, so I don't have an affiliate link available for you, but feel free to check out their website. On the inside here, I've got the cloth zipper refill. This is a olive colorway. My monthly refill, my weekly memo refill, and then my Midori refill here cut down to size. I explained how I did this in Desk Dispatch 4 if you're interested in how I did it, why I did it. On the back I've got some dot stickers here for planning, and then the plastic board from Traveler's Company as a backer there. Charm-wise, I've explained this in previous videos, this is actually a gift, a wedding gift from my wife that I've kept on me for many years. This is a saying by Heraclitus: there is no doing, all is becoming. And then the other gift from my wife, much later on, was a Tree of Life. In terms of some of the ruminations I've been having, obviously I've been enjoying the Midori A5 here. And as I mentioned, I've been doing a little bit of sketching in here, but I've been really trying to incorporate the Traveler's Notebook as a commonplace catch-all, one-stop shop for on-the-go journaling needs. If there's only one notebook that I take with me anywhere, it's going to be this guy here. Just because I love the form factor and the size, gives me the flexibility to do journaling and sketching and playing around a little bit in the paper. That's, of course, if I only have to take one notebook, but I do take multiple notebooks with me, generally wherever I go, for different purposes. One of the things I'm going to likely mention later on in the video here is my reading of Cal Newport's Deep Work. And I've been loving my planner setup, as you know, if you've been watching this channel. My planner setup has been very much centered around the weekly memo refill here, and how I typically do my planning is very much segregated from a weekly and memo perspective. I added the monthly this year, which has been really good to just kind of look ahead and jot some moving pieces down. But with things being so hectic and busy, both professionally and personally, and you name it, I've been wanting to get really structured in how I spend my free time. And the weekly memo is really good because it gives me some high-level things to do every day in terms of priorities and a weekly overview of priorities. But I wanted to do a bit of a daily kind of time blocking methodology approach. So I've just been messing around a little bit in my Midori A5 here, just off to the side, blocking off some time with respect to just jotting down the hours and blocking chunks of dedicated time so that every minute is generally spoken for. So that being said, I have been debating this year to step away, blasphemy I know, from the weekly memo and incorporate a weekly vertical. That, or get rid of the monthly and just do the weekly memo and a weekly vertical. The weekly vertical from Traveler's Company is the 7 days in a vertical format with the time blocks, with the hours, so that you can time block accordingly. I'm not convinced that I want the Traveler's Company weekly vertical yet. I'm kind of debating. A lot of people have mentioned the sterling ink out of the States. It's a little bit more pricey given the shipping and the conversion of the dollar from where I am. But if you have experience with the sterling ink or any other weekly vertical format that fits within the Traveler's Notebook regular, I would love to hear about it. Let me know in the comments section below. This year is definitely going to be an experiment, and then I'll probably put that up in terms of a dedicated planner setup video for 2026. At home, I've got my own dedicated sketchbook here. This is again a Midori blank. So this is some of the watercoloring and sketching that I've been practicing on. Honestly, this is just a bit of a doodle book. It's just random, some of the random things that I doodle here and there. In terms of the sketching tools that I've been carrying around with me, or that I do carry around with me, fine tip marker here. This is a 0.5. It's a pretty fine tip. A Faber-Castell brush pen. Or a pen brush. I actually just picked this one up recently just because I wanted to get a little bit more line variation in terms of how I add shadowing into some of the sketches that I'm doing. A portable watercolor paintbrush. This is just filled with water here in a reservoir, and then you just squeeze it as you color away. And then this is my watercolor kit filled with autumn colors, I believe. This is a Winsor & Newton. I love the small form factor, and these particular watercolors give me 99% of the colors that I typically use in my sketching. So those have been the sketching and watercolor tools that I've been using. I typically showcase what I've got inked up in my Lockby Mini Field Journal here, which is basically 3 notebooks, commonplace for everything, which has my currently inked up, a food journal, and a fitness journal. I've gotten comments requesting showing a bit more about my fitness journal. It's chicken scratches really, but I'm happy to do a bit more of an in-depth dive in that later on. So these are October inks heading into winter. This is what I've picked for now. What I really wanted to focus was picking on earth tone colors and transitioning at least into early winter. I will be swapping out the inks for Christmas, winter, leading into a little bit more shimmer inks and perhaps a lot heavier sheening inks as well. First off, right off the top here, my 2 most used pens, the Kaweco Brassport and the Pilot Vanishing Point. This one is inked up with the Kakamori Po pigment-based dye ink and a Diamine Red Dragon inked up in my Pilot Vanishing Point. Those are staples, they rarely change. I find those 2 colors in particular go with every season. Other pens on the go in here, Edison Beaumont, Pilot Custom 743, the Tiger's Eye Talismans, Esterbrook Sea Glass, the Kaweco Sport Honey, and then the Diplomat Arrow. What I've got inked up in my Edison Beaumont is a Waterman Mysterious Blue, which is a nice medium to dark blue with hints of red sheen. The Esterbrook Nouveau Bleu, one of my favorite pens, is inked up with the Iroshizuku Kujaku. The Pilot Custom 823 is inked up with my staple of Konpeki Iroshizuku. Esterbrook Rainforest is currently inked up with the Robert Oster Peppermint Green, another gorgeous SD to take a look at. Y Studio pen. This is a Y Studio brass pen. I haven't talked about this pen in a long time. It's a gorgeous pen, just hasn't been in my rotation. I pulled it out for the fall and winter here. Nice weight, very solid, good writer. And that one's inked up with the Shioro from Iroshizuku. The Esterbrook Sea Glass, beautiful SD, my first SD. This one's inked up with the Gentle Green by Teranashi. This one's a really cool ink because it writes blue but dries a subtle mossy green. The Kaweco Sport Honey, which I've talked about, it's inked up with the Diamine Ombre de Parmani. Beautiful yellow ink that's very legible in terms of writing. The TWSBI Eco Rose Gold, inked up with something from the Diamine Inkvent 2024. I don't know what the color actually is. I should have written that down. But anyway, as you can see, I had a little bit of a issue. It's a heavy shimmer ink. Don't know if you can really tell on the camera there. Yeah, you probably can. Clogs up very easily, so you've got to be really careful and making sure that there's consistent ink flow, which is why I've put it in TWSBI Eco. These things are rock solid and indestructible when it comes to using shimmer inks. Plus, you can clean it out completely by taking it all apart. Diamine Inkvent ink. This one has less shimmer, but definitely is shimmer. It's a beautiful orange yellow with hints of gold shimmer in there. Love this pen. Nice staple to have. Then I've got the Tiger's Eye Talisman Robert Oster Van Pen 88 brown in there. Gorgeous ink for a gorgeous pen. Esterbrook Black in my Travelers Company fountain pen. And within the Diplomat Arrow Stripes, which I was showing, a classic Diamine Earl Grey. Last but not least is the Pilot Custom 743 inked up with the Yu Yake beautiful flaming orange from Iroshizuku. I don't have a purple in here, which is what I'm just recognizing, so I probably will ink up a purple. That's more than enough pens and inks to keep me busy heading into the start of winter. Continuing on with the exploration of records that I've inherited here, one of the gems that I've been absolutely stunned to find in my in-laws collection has been this guy here. I'm a huge fan of Charlie Brown and the Peanuts Gang. I've been reading Shells forever, and I was stoked to find this record in their collection. This is A Boy Named Charlie Brown by the Vince Guaraldi Trio. It's a beautiful jazz collection encompassing the hits of the original Peanuts show. Classic themes like Linus and Lucy are on here, amongst other very recognizable Charlie Brown tunes. I can't get enough of this, neither can my kids. One of the records that is consistently going almost every morning for me as of late is this guy. This is Argerich Rostropovich Schumann and Chopin Piano Concertos by the National Symphony Orchestra of Washington. This is 1978, a beautiful classical record. The first side here, side A, is Robert Schumann's Piano Orchestra, the A minor OP 54, and the second side is Chopin, again a Piano Concerto number 2 in F minor OP 21. I love this beautiful record because it is insanely calming. I love listening to good classical music, and this one I find is just so wonderful with the keys being hit the way they are. Now this record here wasn't actually in my inherited in-law collection, but it was a gift from my wife. I love Sting. I'm a big fan of ballads. I mean, Bruce Springsteen is a great balladeer and storyteller. Sting is also a great balladeer and storyteller and has been around for a considerable amount of time. And this is the best of 25 years from Sting. This has got some of my favorite hits by him. Fields of Gold, classic. Englishman in New York, classic. Fragile, classic. Desert Rose. I mean, it goes on and on. There's 2 records in here, and there's nothing much more I can say. I think Sting is brilliant, and I can't get enough of him. Books that I'm reading right now encompass both old and new. Cal Newport's Deep Work, which was released originally in 2016, I ended up picking up in around 2016, 2017, somewhere in there, breezed through it really quickly and set it aside and completely forgot about it. At the present, I am quite busy both professionally and personally just because of responsibilities that have grown over time. And I found that I wasn't really catering to the type of depth that I have been seeking in terms of creative expression and professional output. And that triggered a thought of reading Cal's Deep Work again. And this time with a fresh lens and where I'm at in my life, I've been enthralled by his approach and a reminder of the rules and tools that he gives with respect to cultivating a deep work approach to not only maximize productivity, but more importantly, be proud of what one is putting out into the world. For me personally, that's through expressions like this channel here, and professionally really finding ways to take a look at a very hectic schedule that's encompassed in a very bombarded digital approach and find ways to focus when I need to focus, and within the time slots that I have the ability to focus, really output the type of work that I need to in order to provide value to my organization and to the folks that are on my team and around me. One of the other things in terms of helping out with the busyness that Cal's book reminded me is the approach to scheduling and how I use my planner, which I shared a little bit about in the Traveler's Notebook portion of the video here. But the time blocking methodology comes from Cal, and the exploration of wanting to shift to a weekly vertical was a reminder of using the time blocking methodology that Cal's suggesting here for depth. Deep work has been quite resonant at this point in my life again for those very reasons. I love it. I cannot get enough of it. Cal's words have been really on point with what I've been requiring in terms of my day-to-day approaches. So the next book here is How to Fail at Almost Everything and Still Win Big, kind of the story of my life by Scott Adams. Scott Adams, if you don't know, is the author of this book, obviously, but the author of a very popular comic strip that is Dilbert. This book here is Scott's approach in being the type of individual who is very creative and exploring a lot of different things. I just started reading this book. It was recommended by a friend. I'm enjoying it. I can't wait to share more about what his approach is on productivity. I love reading about history, and one of my favorite reads right now, I'm almost done this book, is Dominion by Stephen Bown. This is about the railway across Canada, the inception of it, and the knock-on effect of how it allowed Canada to become the nation that it is now. Such fascinating aspects about the Canadian Pacific Railway here and the political figures that have been involved, and unfortunately an in-depth look at some of the rights that were trampled on at the time of various participants in that journey. And I'm appreciative of Stephen's approach of just looking at the facts as they stand, and not necessarily a historical narrative, but just a biographical approach of the various players who have participated in the manifestation of the Canadian Pacific Railway from coast to coast. A very interesting, cool read. Thanks for joining me today on Desk Dispatch. I'm excited about the next few months. In particular, there's a couple of Lockerbie products that I've been eyeing. They put out the version 2 of the Quattro pen pouch, which I've pre-ordered, so I'm waiting to get that in. And they've got a new mini venture pouch that I've been eyeing and have ordered, so I'm going to be taking a closer look at that as well. Heading into the winter season, this seems like it's going to be a colder year for sure, which the last couple of years for where I am has been quite mild and temperate, if not warm. I'm really keen on getting out there and doing a little bit of cross-country skiing and enjoying the winter. I love winter. I'm one of those weirdos who loves to spend a lot of time outdoors in the winter, but also loves the slowing down of autumn and the quiet of winter. You can hunker down, and in particular for me, I focus a lot more time around the desk, just as much time as I spend outside in daylight. The other thing that I am exploring here is mechanical pencils. Pencils haven't been a part of my toolkit for quite some time, and I'm eyeing a couple of new curated tools with respect to the mechanical pencils. I've got a couple kicking around here, but I would love to hear from you. If you've got recommendations of mechanical pencils that you really like, both low end or high end, I would love to hear about it. Let me know in the comments section below. Don't forget to take a look at the description below to take a look at any of the affiliate links that I have that might be of benefit to you in terms of getting discounts and such. Thanks very much for watching. Take care and have a wonderful day. Bye for now.